LeBron going back there. But they've never been competent, and they just got rid of the one thing that represented stability in their front office. And now it's Gilbert versus LeBron. And if you had to guess, I think most people are guessing LeBron's leaving.
Oh, absolutely. I think Dan Gilbert is guessing that LeBron is leaving. I think David Griffin knows LeBron is leaving. And I think LeBron knows that he's leaving.
Guillermo, there it is. Two guys with very hard opinions on everything. He knows what everyone is thinking.
Oh, Dan, I mean, come on. If you believe Stephen A. Smith, and I do, like, I think LeBron knew he was going to Miami with Wade and Bosh years before he made that decision, and I believe he knew he was leaving Miami and headed back to Cleveland. Stephen A. Smith told us 2 years in advance they were planning this thing out. LeBron's very calculated. I'm not okay with it, but he is very calculated, and I think he knows that he's going to L.A., and he's known about it for a while now.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is LeBron leaving?
I don't think there's any chance Gilbert fires General Manager Griffin if he thinks that he has a great shot to keep LeBron. I think when he lets go of Griffin, who's LeBron's guy, I think he's saying, look, we all know you're leaving after this coming season, so why pretend?
The Cavs, Mike, did they win the lottery 3 of 4 years, winning the lottery? It took a championship. First of all, a handful of things are amazing here. One, how close LeBron is to being 1-7 in the final. 2 of the biggest shots in history went his way. He's not close to being 7-1 in the final. He's close to being 1-7 in the final. And then how close he is right now, specifically, to the window having closed in Cleveland, us burying him because he should have never left Pat Riley. How close he is being closed in Cleveland and the 3 years being a laughingstock failure. The difference between that and where we are today is one Kyrie Irving shot. One shot is it's being reported by Adrian Wojnarowski of Yahoo Sports and others that Griffin and Gilbert couldn't agree on what the future for the Cavs looked like. And to me, that's the fascinating question here. And therefore, he's saying, hey, Griffin, we ain't trading for a year of Paul George. We're not trading for Jimmy Butler. I want to start planning now for the possibility that LeBron will not be here in a year, and we've got Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving under contract. And he's trying to get a third team involved in Phoenix to get Jimmy Butler to Cleveland. As that's leaking, what also leaks is, hey, you're no longer the general manager.
There is the next season, and Dan Gilbert is thinking long-term for his organization.
I want to play again uninterrupted. This is LeBron James in his words he's ever had about that letter. You disrespected me and my entire family.
We know how LeBron feels about being disrespected. He was up in arms when his circle of friends was referred to as a posse, and which James is going to go to his grave not forgiving Dan Gilbert for that letter.
So if you're Gilbert and you really care about next year, next year, you have LeBron, you have a chance of winning a title next year, regardless of what you do. Jimmy Butler, Paul George, you still have a chance. You were a couple of games away from winning it this year. Don't you think long term? If you're Dan Gilbert, don't you think, hey, LeBron's going to leave here regardless. I want to have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love in place when he leaves. At least we'll compete in the East.
A texter, right? Can you please let the 95% of us that couldn't care less know when you will be done with this pointless crap? Probably August. August, if you want to come back then.
Would you prefer us to talk about Aaron Judge?
Pioneer, but he's the one we've got. I loved that all of this changed with LeBron's television show. That the NBA grabbed June and July. Before that, it was Ed Werder on Brett Favre's lawn. Flyer now, is Paul George moving? Is Jimmy Butler moving? It's the transaction in basketball. That's what we do in June and July because basketball has figured out a way to make that interesting, and LeBron is the one who figured out how to make that interesting.
Right, and makes it official. That's in play. Blake Griffin, like you mentioned, Butler, and even Dwayne Wade. What's he going to do? Might he come back to Miami?
This is Stugotz. Looking like Paul Feinbaum. Stugotz is shaved.
ESPN Radio, Progressive Insurance. So you get the best deal. It's us. I'm a little distracted, man.
Rats fighting over a Brillo pad. Go ahead, keep petting it.
There's another thing here, man. I bought this suit for my daughter's bat mitzvah, and it is snug. And the bat mitzvah was only like 5 months ago, and it fit perfectly then, and I can't even breathe, man.
All right, a too tight Paul Feinbaum suit,
God.
And get ready. 5 minutes from now, Stugotz loses the hair in the middle of his head.
Saving you time and money there. That's Progressive. Call and click today. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by Upside. Now save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You love Upside.com. That's Upside.com. Vic Griffin, the team announced Monday. Griffin's contract was up at the end of the month, and after extensive talks with owner Dan Gilbert, no agreement on an extension was reached. Chauncey Billups and the Cavaliers have mutual interest in a front office role for the retired NBA player, sources told ESPN's Brian Windhorst. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout.
Clevelander, in South Beach, on ESPN Radio.
It's a perfectly acceptable solution to them to really treat us as though we are at the very least a hostile force and not give us the benefit of the doubt on things like that. So the situation's just not really looking good. And wanted to mention that we've gotten into this odd quagmire of a mess that we're in the Middle East, our standing with the Russians right now. For example, when it comes to the Kurds, we've started arming the Syrian Kurds because the Syrian Kurds are against the Syrian establishment regime, which would be Bashar Assad and the Russians who happen to be backing him now. The Russians have been coveting Syria for some time, and so they've been backing Assad, trying to keep the region stable. We're backing the Kurds, trying to destabilize him because the Kurds are fighting both Assad and ISIS. What's the correct way to say this? I would say a Faustonian bargain. We are arming people that we know are bad guys in hopes that those bad guys aren't quite as bad as the bad guys that they're fighting, and that they will help us and help our cause, as it were. So we're really stuck in a mess here, because what has essentially taken place is we're trying to pick between evil. And I've said this before, and believe me, I don't believe that this just applies to a political campaign or a decision that you make in life. I think that this absolutely applies, maybe even more so, when it comes to warfare, is that when you pick between the lesser of two evils, a huge mistake. Granted, this is not the fault of the Donald Trump administration. This policy started back in Barack Obama, but Donald Trump's administration has continued to support and arm the Syrian Kurds. So that's really the fault of both administrations. That's not a Republican or a Democrat thing. That's a problem with our foreign policy that desperately needs to be addressed, because the Syrian Kurds are Marxists. They're essentially communist Muslims, which does sound like a bit of a contradiction, but if you look at their ideology, the things that they believe in a massive centralized communist state with Sharia law mixed in. So these are not good guys, not people that we can depend on, not people that we should be arming, and it's going to come back to bite us in the butt.
His expense. Not everybody at ESPN allows that. There are some people out there who have complained to the talent office about some of the things that we do. You will remain nameless, you cowards. But Feinbaum is not one of them. Feinbaum allows us to fool around with this. So Stu Go, he is with Mario of Dollar Shave Club. Stugotz, how are you feeling right now? Let's check in with Stugotz. He's in another room where hair can get everywhere. How are you doing right now, Stugotz?
The audience is going to get a great amount of joy out of this. I'm going to be bald, completely bald after the show. I know that's a pretty good look for me. I think it's actually a better look than the look I'm rocking right now. So I'm strangely confident and comfortable, and I think, I said this to you earlier, like 20 years from now, some sports radio show is going to be talking about guys who rock the cul-de-sac the best, and I think the first name that's going to come out of their mouths is me, because I think I'm going to look good with this thing.
All right, well, no one looks good with this thing. Sean Connery got a nomination yesterday in hair where you got a cul-de-sac. You got, you're going to remove all the hair in the middle of his head. What's wrong? What's the matter? What are you laughing about?
I'm just laughing at all of it. I'm laughing that after we're done with this today, that I get hooked up to a lie detector tomorrow. It's quite the week I've carved out for myself.
Okay, speaking of carving, Mario, at your convenience, go ahead and just take a little bit off of the top of his head here. What I would like for you to do, though, please, at some point, is to leave the Jimbo Fisher. I would like to see it for a little while. So let's hear the sound. Mario, let's hear that, and let's go. Let's hear it. Go. Tell him to get going.
He's going. Oh, here it goes.
Oh, here we
Your day, Levitor. You wanted this forever, man.
All right, let's go.
Sorry. I am so sorry. To my wife and my kids, I'm sorry. I'm actually not, because I love being the center of attention, but just for the sake of saying the right thing, honey, I'm sorry. I love you to death, all right? Yeah, my kids wanted to call Mike Ryan for the last couple of days. My kids love Mike Ryan. Emma, Mike Ryan is her favorite person on the show, and she was tempted to call Mike Ryan. She actually went into my phone and got his number, and she wanted to call him or text him, begging him, thinking that a 13-year-old girl might be able to sway Mike Ryan. It's done to me, but I told her not to. It's going to get done regardless.
Or 3, where we need a 0. Rid of everything that's in the. Just get rid of all of it. I love Stugotz because he says that he's gained weight since that this is making Stugotz's face look extra fat. It's gonna look.
Now we're making progress.
Yes, some progress here.
Yeah.
It looks as bad as anything I've ever seen in my life.
He's not my age.
Look at that.
I think it looks good. No, I think I look good. Listen, a good-looking face is a good-looking. You have a good-looking face, nothing else matters, man. Put on at least 2 to my daughter's bat mitzvah. Hey, it is amazing. I haven't stopped January, man.
You've added chin since he started shaving hair, though. You're being fatter. You look like a nice job from Mario at Dollar Shave Club.
Not bad. Not a bad look.
The age progression is frightening. I mean,
Yes,
Stugotz,
it's
honestly,
amazing.
he's
It
55
is.
right
It's
now.
what Stugotz is going to look like when he's 75 years old and his hair naturally retreats like this. Mario's really doing this maximum slowly for maximum efficiency on the shave.
I'm telling you, I mean, I'm not even looking at the hair. What I'm most concerned about, Dan, do you see this chin? Like, do you see the chin below the chin?
Which one?
All 4 of them. I don't know how this happened, man.
See, it is great. One of the great things about this haircut is amazing. The bet, he thought the Cavs were going to beat the Warriors, and to pay as the bet is he's got to look like Paul Feinbaum, spend the rest of being like Paul Feinbaum. Oh my God,
It's amazing.
The internet is forever.
Yeah, I would prefer when Mario's done with this, if he could shave off one of my chins, that would be I'd be very.
Right? You did not know.
No, I had no idea how. You guys never been fat in the same my entire life. I mean, this is
Jimbo Fisher.
This is terrible.
Yes, right now, if you're watching on ESPNU, Stugotz is making the climb toward Paul Feinbaum by making a stop at Jimbo Fisher on Mount Feinbaum. There's the Sherpas will take you a couple of exit ramps earlier to Mount Jimbo Fisher. Find out what he looks like as Paul Feinbaum. Next.
My private jet isn't going to fuel itself.
Up his head. The time has come. Stugotz's hair is relieved of its duties, and we'll be laughing all the way to the bank. Meanwhile, the tools provided by the good folks at Dollar Shave Club will be put to good use. Tell him, Cody, about Dollar Shave Club.
Dollar Shave Club is the smarter choice. You no longer have to schlep to the store to buy a cheap disposable razor with their Dr. Carver's shave butter. The blade just gently glides, giving you such a smooth shave. For a limited time, new members can get their first month of the Executive Razor with a tube of their Dr. Carver's shave butter for only $5 with free shipping. After that, exclusively at DollarShaveClub.com/Dan. That's DollarShaveClub.com/Dan.
And stay tuned. More Dan and Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
First time, we were arming the quote-unquote less bad Muslims that were the enemy of my enemy. And they wound up becoming ISIS, and Assad, who we supported his ascension to try to stabilize the place. Well, now we don't like him, and so we're trying to take him out of power and do a regime change, which has never worked in our entire history, especially in the Middle East. Create stability, and goodness knows I want stability and peace, but supporting one dictator because he's not as bad as this other dictator is not a winning strategy. Because, especially when it comes to the Middle East,